The clock is ticking for TikTok at the highest levels of government. The House of Representatives took a major step against the app today, saying it poses a high security risk to users, which includes federal employees. Now, anyone with a device issued by the House of Representatives must delete the social media app. The White House is taking a similar approach for all executive branch employees, but this rule does not extend across the halls of the Senate. This comes just weeks after lawmakers unveiled a plan to ban the app nationwide. Joining us now is NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles. Ryan, how did the House come to this decision? Give me some context here. What is it about the app that has the lawmakers concerned, and is there any flexibility to this rule?
Yeah, so Jacob, this decision comes from the House Administration Committee, which essentially serves as the city council, if you will, of the House of Representatives. It is made up of members that govern the rules of the House, and they instructed the chief administrative officer to inform all members and staff that work at the House of Representatives that TikTok must be immediately deleted from their phones because the cybersecurity office determined that it was a security risk. And it comes on the heels of just a few days ago that massive omnibus spending package that the House and Senate passed and President Biden signed into law includes a ban on the use of TikTok on all federal executive branch devices. So that is separate, though, from what happens on the legislative side of things. The House and Senate are independently governed, and this is the House of Representatives taking a step that they're also enforcing upon the executive branch, determining that it's just too big of a risk, and they're demanding that all these members of Congress and their staff delete the app immediately.
Well, and any of us, Ryan, who've ever used it know exactly how addictive it can be, how hard it is to put it down. So I'm wondering, is there any enforcement policy in place here? How will they keep people from downloading it or using it on their work phones?
Yeah, it's a great question, Jacob, and they don't explicitly lay that out in the email that we've obtained from the chief administrative officer, but they do make it clear that immediately anyone who has TikTok on a House-issued device must delete it immediately, and if they don't, they will be contacted by members of the administrative office. So it
Right.
seems pretty clear that they do have some sort of access or monitoring software on these phones, much like companies would have on company-issued devices that would allow them to know whether or not something like this is downloaded on a phone. They're making it clear there are no excuses. You have to delete these apps off the phone, or there will be consequences associated with it. It's important to point out, though, Jacob, that a lot of these members of Congress do interact with their constituents on TikTok. This won't necessarily preclude them from doing so. They will just have to do it on their own personal devices as opposed to the ones that are issued by the House of Representatives.
And Ryan, do we think that this is setting any kind of standard for the nation? There is legislation to ban TikTok nationwide. How much traction do we have on that?
It certainly seems as though there are members of Congress that are heading in that direction. You know, the decision to ban it on all federal devices was essentially passed with a unanimous vote in the Senate as it was added as an amendment to that omnibus spending package. And there weren't very many members of the House of Representatives that objected to that ban, at least on federal devices. Now, the idea of banning the app outright across the entire country, well, that is a much different situation, basically because there are still millions of people who use the app, and it would be difficult to try and rein all of that in. The mechanisms to enforce that would be very hard. But there are members of Congress who believe that it is a national security risk and that conversation should at least be had. Whether or not we're at the stage yet where they're ready to enforce that remains to be seen. But it is no doubt a conversation right now on Capitol Hill.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.